Late one night, a security camera mounted outside a small industrial building picked up something deeply unsettling on the road in front of it. A tiny, dark, human-shaped figure materialized out of nowhere, slowly making its way across to the opposite side. Shortly after, a second figure of the same kind emerged and did exactly the same thing. The way these figures moved and looked gave them the eerie quality of children's ghosts wandering that stretch of road. The footage left those who watched it thoroughly disturbed, with many asking themselves what kind of tragedy must have unfolded in that location to leave these spirits behind. This next video comes from an account dedicated to posting footage of firefighters battling blazes. The content on this page seems to serve an educational purpose, covering everything from the procedures firefighters must follow in high-pressure situations to how fire trucks maneuver through traffic, all things an aspiring firefighter could genuinely benefit from watching. That said, one particular upload stands out as something a little harder to explain. Unlike the rest of the content, this one has a distinctly unsettling edge to it. On March 10, 2025, a man is filming a vacant property engulfed in flames out in the middle of the woods. And while the camera is rolling, something gets captured that has left a lot of people deeply disturbed. The man doing the recording actually owns this land, and he had absolutely no clue that anything unusual was happening while he filmed. I'll let the remaining footage speak for itself. Here's what his camera picked up.
You should see it right now. It's amazing. Look through the window. Woo! It's getting out of hand right now. Woo! Woo!
It's not immediately obvious, but if you study the footage carefully, a dark figure can be spotted moving around inside the burning building. Given that the property had sat empty for years, there's no reason anyone or anything should have been in there. And yet, something clearly was. What makes it even stranger is that the figure appears to duck out of view the instant the owner glances down the hallway, almost like it was deliberately trying to avoid being seen. He likely would have caught it himself had he not been so fixated on the wall of flames right in front of him.
Close to him.
It's amazing. Look through the window.
Because of that distraction, he missed the figure entirely, and apparently, that wasn't the only thing he failed to notice. It was only once viewers began combing through the rest of the footage that additional details started coming to light. As it turns out, the shadowy figure was far from the only thing worth paying attention to in this clip. Voices were picked up by the camera, and there were no children anywhere near the scene. It's an unmistakable sound, clearly resembling a child laughing, though nobody on location could account for where it was coming from. Many viewers feel the house itself may hold the answer, and if that's the case, then what was recorded next has likely pushed a lot of people firmly into the believer camp. While capturing footage of a different section of the burning structure, the camera caught this. A dark figure briefly appears before vanishing into thin air. The fact that it emerges from the same building where the earlier figure was spotted makes the whole thing considerably more chilling, and the child's laughter heard moments before certainly doesn't help. Could it be, as so many viewers have suggested, that all of this ties back to the house being haunted? There are those who think the fire itself may have driven out whatever had been dwelling inside, which in their view explains why a shadowy figure was seen fleeing the building and why a child's voice was heard outdoors, as though whatever was inside suddenly had nowhere left to go. It's a compelling theory, even if nothing is certain. As always, I'll leave it to you to draw your own conclusions, but drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know what you think. This man embarked on a solo trek through the Austrian highlands, following a faint trail that snaked through thick woodland and jagged terrain. His goal was to reach the peak before dark, but what he stumbled across instead was something no one could have anticipated: an ancient World War I cemetery that appears on no known map. Choosing to linger and take it all in, he began methodically walking through this long-forgotten burial site. The footage carries the haunting title, "They're in the Cemetery, Afraid of the Light and Screaming." That title alone conjures images of a ghost story begging to be unraveled, murmurs of fallen soldiers' souls stirring after nightfall. Though naturally, that's the stuff of folklore. What makes this find so extraordinary is that nobody before him appeared to have any knowledge this cemetery even existed. Ancient wooden crosses and worn stone markers barely emerge from beneath dense moss and wild overgrowth, while the profound quiet hanging over the site makes the whole atmosphere feel suffocating. As he moved among the graves, there was a brief instant where something resembling a face seemed to emerge from behind one of the headstones. In all likelihood, it was simply an optical trick, shadows and flashlight beams conspiring to produce that unsettling pareidolia effect. Even so, the image was more than enough to send a deep chill through him. Sometime around the middle of 2023, the Bell explorers made their way back to the notorious Screaming Woods in Pluckley, widely regarded as the most haunted forest in all of Britain. This wasn't uncharted territory for them. They'd visited twice before, each time coming home with accounts of unsettling sounds and mysterious shapes lurking in the dark. But what was waiting for them this particular night was something else entirely.
To go again, so let's get into it. Alright guys, we're at the Screaming Woods again. Third time lucky. There's the sign, guys, if you want.
Carrying torches, cameras, and a cautious sense of anticipation, they stepped into the woods beneath a calm yet deeply unsettling sky. The silence was total. No breeze, no movement, just an oppressive wall of darkness. They chose a fresh location to set up, hoping a new spot might draw out new activity. It didn't take long before things went sideways, not because of anything supernatural, but because of a massive swarm of giant wasps. Shrieking and swinging their arms wildly, the group tore through the undergrowth until they stumbled into a different clearing.
Don't get any encounters down here. We'll go back to the old position, see if we can pick up any more, but we'll go from there, I think. But it's quite a... I'm hoping we can actually get you a good bit of footage for you guys to actually see something, because we've had success both times here, but we've been too scared to actually film it.
But the wasp attack turned out to be the least of their concerns. As they panned their cameras around the surrounding trees, something stared back. A pale, unmoving face, a mask, barely visible, yet completely impossible to dismiss. The group froze in terror before breaking into a full sprint.
Shit, Joe, what's that? Fuck off! Shit! Hang on, just stop. Stop, yeah, no, we can't run.
Rattled but refusing to give up, they went back to the same spot shortly after. There was nothing there. Whatever had been watching them had simply disappeared. That should have been enough to call it a night. But on their way back to the car, the masked figure showed up again, this time trailing behind them. Beams of light swept frantically through the trees, revealing nothing but bark and rising dread. One of the explorers went down in the chaos, heart hammering, flashlight swinging wildly, and just like that, the figure was gone once more.
Gotta go back. We are absolutely shitting ourselves, but we have to go back. Excuse my language. We've got to go back. Just be careful, Joe. We're getting attacked by bugs and everything. They are the least of our worries, though.
This time, nobody suggested going back. Among the comments, one new subscriber called the whole ordeal absolutely terrifying, praising the group for holding it together as long as they did. Others laughed nervously, throwing out comparisons to vampires lurking between the pines. But underneath all the jokes, genuine fear ran through the responses. Plenty of viewers admitted they would have been long gone after the very first glimpse. And really, you couldn't fault them for that. I've often questioned whether mermaids would ever let themselves be caught on film. But if this footage is any indication, they don't mind the spotlight at all. A group of sailors out on the open water recorded this, after one of them spotted something in the ocean that seemed almost human, yet unmistakably fish-like. That's the moment the mermaid theory started taking hold. The creature then drew closer and appeared to put on a display, almost as if it was showing off. The raw excitement in the sailors' voices alone had a lot of people convinced this footage couldn't possibly be staged. Playing devil's advocate, though, Julius raised an interesting point. What if the audio of those men laughing and talking was simply dubbed over an unrelated clip? Honestly, when he first said that, I was ready to let him have it. But after cooling down and thinking it through, I had to admit he might actually be onto something. Either way, you've all seen it now, so drop your thoughts below. Right at the start of this next spine-chilling encounter, a pair of friends are filming themselves while tending to some pet rabbits they've been raising. Within moments, an unusual sound from outside grabs their attention. Unable to resist, they head out to investigate, and what their camera catches is something else entirely.
Yeah. What? Yeah, there's back there.
The Mothman and the Flatwoods Monster have haunted eyewitness accounts ever since the 1950s. Those who've seen Mothman describe a massive creature with wings, while the Flatwoods Monster is said to take the form of a towering metallic being with an eerie, luminous face. Decades later, both entities still manage to unsettle and intrigue in equal measure. What began as a quiet, wholesome moment with their animals ends up becoming something far more unsettling. A stark reminder that certain mysteries don't come with answers. Some things are simply meant to be experienced, not explained. We kick things off with a deeply unsettling series of recordings from a couple named Crystal and Damien, two people who were convinced they had finally found the home they had always wanted. They had bought the property just a few months before, and not long after settling in, they got engaged, marking what should have been the start of something truly wonderful. Yet beneath that sense of optimism, something lingered inside those walls that neither of them could shake. It wasn't loud or dramatic at first, just a quiet, nagging sense that things weren't quite as they should be. Over time, that unease began to take on a more concrete shape. Strange things started occurring, minor incidents in the beginning, but consistent enough that writing them off as coincidence became harder and harder to do. Eventually, determined to prove they weren't losing their minds, they set up cameras around the house. What those cameras recorded only made their fears worse. On August 6, 2022, a camera positioned in the hallway picked up something that's hard to explain. It's the dead of night, long after midnight, a point when the entire house should have been silent. Out of nowhere, there's a knock at the front door. Damien heads over to answer it, fully expecting to find somebody standing outside. But when he pulls the door open, there's nobody there. No movement, no sound, nothing whatsoever to account for what caused it. And that's just where it begins. Things take an even more alarming turn during a disagreement between the two of them.
It feels more like
they don't mean to do. They're not like planning on, you know. They
do you
don't.
know how it feels to hang out with a group of people and they don't even want you there? Like
they do want you there.
But I'm only there
they want you
because
there. They
they
like you a lot. No, they don't. They
That's the only
They
reason.
like. Yeah, they like me. They're my friends. But they're my. But they like you a lot.
They're acting rude to me.
They're not. They're not trying. That's just how they. Hey.
Right behind them, a cabinet swings open on its own and a plate tumbles out, shattering against the counter without either of them going anywhere near it. They freeze, completely thrown off, struggling to make sense of what they just witnessed. But before they even have a chance to collect themselves, it happens a second time. Another plate comes flying out, this time with real force, launched directly toward Damien as though something had deliberately hurled it at him. The timing is nearly impossible to overlook, almost as if whatever inhabits that space was reacting to the conflict unfolding between them, inserting itself into the argument in a way that felt purposeful. From that moment, things only get more intense. Later, while Crystal is by herself in the house, the atmosphere shifts into something even more disturbing. She's seated and scrolling through her phone, not paying much attention to her surroundings, when the door across the room slowly swings open by itself. Her first instinct is that Damien must have come home ahead of schedule and is about to walk through. She looks up, expecting to see his face in the doorway, but nobody appears. Several seconds go by and the hallway beyond remains completely empty. The reality of the situation sinks in slowly. She is the only person in that house. And still, the door had opened.
Just gonna go to just Airbnb for the night, and just for the night.
By this stage, what was happening inside the home had become genuinely unbearable. The relentless unease, the unpredictable incidents, and the persistent sensation of being watched had begun to consume their everyday lives. They eventually decided to get out, at least for a while, hoping that putting some distance between themselves and the property might offer a bit of breathing room. But even leaving didn't give them the answers they were looking for. Driven by a need to confront whatever might be dwelling there, they came back and tried something far more deliberate, a seance, with the goal of reaching out to the presence directly and urging it to go. followed was immediate, overwhelming, and profoundly disturbing. Whatever occupied that house did not respond with any kind of calm, and it showed absolutely no sign of being willing to move on. If anything, the activity surged, more forceful, more aggressive, as though attempting to open a line of communication had only stirred things up further. And that leaves a troubling question hanging in the air. Did they inadvertently make contact with something they were never meant to reach? Or did mounting dread simply cause them to interpret ordinary events as something far darker than reality warranted? What's certain is that the footage doesn't leave you feeling like whatever was in that house had any plans to go quietly. Up next, we have a case with that same creeping sense of escalation, except this time it plays out in total isolation, with a man alone inside a hotel room as the strange disturbances begin to close in around him. Aria's TikTok didn't kick off with a silly dance or a viral challenge. It began with fear, raw, uncontrollable, genuine fear. She posted just 2 videos before disappearing from the platform entirely, and both are the kind of footage that burrows into your brain and stays there. The first is stripped down, unfiltered, and absolutely terrifying. Aria is running flat out down a hotel corridor, screaming as if something is closing in right behind her. No introduction, no context, just pure instinctive panic. The following day, she uploads the longer version, and that's where things take a serious turn. It's oddly quiet, too quiet. She's moving down the hallway with her phone tilted sideways, pretending to be on a FaceTime call, whispering to herself, playing it casual, like she's trying to convince whoever might be nearby that she isn't filming anything. Then the shift happens. Her breathing goes shallow. Her footsteps speed up. She throws a glance over her shoulder, and something inside her just breaks. She explodes into a full sprint, as though she's suddenly certain she isn't alone in that corridor. Her caption is the stuff of nightmares. I pretended to be on FT so they'd leave me alone. But then I heard running, so I ran. Here's what makes that so disturbing. Pause the footage right at the moment she looks back, and the hallway stretching behind her is completely, utterly deserted. That's when a man named Tony enters the picture. He recognizes the corridor because he's an employee at that very hotel. He pulls up the security footage, and what it reveals is somehow more unsettling than the TikTok itself. She's tearing down the hallway in absolute terror, yet the cameras show nothing in pursuit, not a soul. She throws herself into the elevator, hammers the buttons, and then does something that feels strangely childlike. She wedges herself into the corner and hides her face, as if she's trying to make herself invisible. The elevator doors then glitch out and refuse to shut. She panics and bolts back into the hallway, and the second she clears the doorway, the doors slide closed without any issue.
The elevator door is not even closing. Like she playing high.
Tony and a colleague head up to check on her room. What they walk into looks like the aftermath of someone who fled in absolute desperation.
It's like all my stuff is just left here. Crazy.
Clothing strewn everywhere, drawers wrenched open, belongings scattered as though the space had been frantically torn apart. Her bag sits neatly packed on the bed, as if she had every intention of leaving calmly, and then something stopped her. Then they push open the bathroom door. Lying on the floor is a door-popping wire, the kind used by burglars to force their way into rooms. It wasn't hers, and hotel staff have no reason to carry tools like that. Someone was actively trying to get inside her room. But here's the detail nobody can make sense of. The hotel's full camera system shows not a single person near her, no one trailing her, no one stepping off the elevator onto her floor, no one slipping away afterward. Whatever she heard running behind her, whatever triggered that elevator to malfunction and hold its doors wide open, it left absolutely no trace on any camera. Aria hasn't posted a single thing since. No explanation. Nothing. A woman named Melody received a mysterious bouquet with no card, no sender, and absolutely no indication of who had sent it. Initially, it didn't raise too many alarms, but the situation took a deeply unsettling turn when something inexplicable showed up inside her home.
Boom. They're dying. I know. That's not weird because it's me, okay? They die.
While Melody was walking her TikTok followers through the story of the anonymous flowers, eagle-eyed viewers spotted what appeared to be a chilling figure reflected in the glass panel behind her door. Melody herself believes this may have been the very same presence responsible for leaving the bouquet.
What I found.
Once the footage was sharpened and enhanced, a towering figure with hollow, vacant eyes became far more visible. It raised the horrifying possibility that something disturbing had already made its way inside, and Melody had no clue why any of this was targeting her. Predictably, a portion of viewers chalked it up to editing tricks or a camera artifact, but Melody stood firm, saying she had absolutely nothing to gain from fabricating this. Then, as if things couldn't get any stranger, another incident unfolded in the house. During a quiet night, a light near one of the bedroom doors began to flicker without warning, and the door gradually swung open on its own. As the light pulses in and out, a face briefly emerges from the darkness behind the door before a shadowy figure steps into the room. Melody later clarified that at the time, she was in a completely different part of the house, and the only other living soul present was her dog. First came the anonymous bouquet, then a figure lurking in the glass reflection, and finally, a dark presence seemingly crossing the threshold into her home. Some followers have theorized it could be the spirit of someone tied to the property's previous residents, but concrete answers remain frustratingly out of reach. So what do you think is really going on inside Melody's house? A security camera installed in this girl's room to keep watch over her captured something deeply unsettling. It's roughly 3 in the morning, long after she should be asleep, yet she's clearly awake. Suddenly she bolts to her father's room in a complete panic, shaking uncontrollably, telling him something on the ceiling had frightened her. Her father assumed it was probably just an insect, checked the ceiling, found nothing, and sent her back to bed. But when he pulled up the footage the following morning, what he saw left him horrified. Here's what the camera recorded. The lights are seen switching on and off repeatedly, and you can actually hear what sounds like the light switch clicking in perfect rhythm with the flickering, as though an unseen hand was operating it. Yet as the footage makes clear, both daughters were asleep, and he and his wife were in their own bedroom the entire time. Even more disturbing, his daughter stirs and starts gazing up at the ceiling with an expression of pure fear, as if something up there had her full attention. Realizing his daughter may have genuinely witnessed something terrifying, the father spirals into panic, deeply concerned for everyone's well-being. Over the following days, more bizarre incidents occur throughout the house, prompting him to rearrange the girls' beds in hopes of making them feel safer, but that does nothing to stop what's happening. Then one night, while his younger daughter is fast asleep, this unfolds. A glowing orb is clearly visible drifting through her bedroom, and the moment it disappears from view, 3 distinct knocking sounds ring out, which is far from reassuring. The very next night, more unexplained noises are heard. Then on another night, his oldest daughter is jolted awake by something alarming. She claims she felt something grab at her foot. Pay close attention to what the camera picks up. She sits up abruptly, holding her foot out as though something just made contact with it. Confused, she scans the entire room, assuming it must be the dog, but there's no one there. With no explanation and growing dread, her father posts the recordings online, hoping someone can shed some light on what his family is dealing with. But without any further updates, this one may never be fully explained. The TikTok page you're looking at is run by a mother who has devoted her entire account to her young boy, Jensen. The majority of her content is genuinely touching. Footage of Jensen out on the ice playing the hockey he adores, alongside posts chronicling his courageous fight against a serious medical condition. The page radiates warmth, resilience, and the unwavering support of a close-knit family. But then she uploaded something that stood apart from all of that. One evening, while the household was getting ready to head out, something occurred that shook her older son, Tucker, straight to his bones. Because of Jensen's condition, security cameras have been set up at various points around their home. Devices meant to offer comfort and reassurance. Instead, one of those cameras recorded something that's difficult to explain away. The moment Tucker steps into the living room, a small rubber duck toy appears to start moving completely on its own. He spots it right away and immediately runs off to find his mother. Then, shortly after both of them exit the room to leave, the toy starts moving once again. and if you pay close attention throughout the recording, you can make out what look like several orbs drifting through the air across the frame. The mother later noted this wasn't an isolated incident. Apparently there's at least one other piece of footage, though she hasn't released it publicly yet. A lot of viewers feel that whatever presence may be in the home doesn't appear to be threatening. However, she also disclosed something that raises the stakes considerably. Jensen has been waking up in the dead of night, crying and visibly frightened, as though something has disturbed him in his sleep. The family has even begun talking about relocating altogether. So what's your take on all of this? Is there an innocent explanation? Maybe some kind of benign presence, or does something about this feel genuinely sinister to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Chris Hill is an urban explorer who documents his solo adventures through some of America's most haunting forgotten locations. His channel, Urbex Hill, blends historical research with genuine on-the-ground exploration, and he has a habit of uncovering far more than crumbling walls and rotting furniture. This time around, Chris set his sights on Molly Stark Sanatorium in Ohio, a colossal abandoned tuberculosis hospital that has stood empty for more than 25 years. The facility was constructed in 1929 and named in honor of General John Stark's wife. Medical thinking at the time held that fresh air and natural sunlight were the key to beating tuberculosis, so the entire complex was engineered to handle the disease's most severe cases. But here's what you need to understand about tuberculosis hospitals. They were not places people walked out of easily. In 1946 alone, 153 patients lost their lives within this building. Just sit with that number for a moment and consider the sheer weight of suffering these halls absorbed over the years. The sanatorium kept its doors open all the way until 1995, when dwindling patient numbers and a deteriorating structure finally forced its closure. Now, 26 years on, Chris is about to discover that perhaps not every soul departed when the lights went out for good. Things kicked off pretty routinely. Chris moved through the crumbling corridors, passing rusted hospital beds and charred medical records, narrating the building's past in his usual composed manner. Up to this point, it reads like a standard urban exploration session. Chris is in his comfort zone, alone, methodical, letting the camera capture the slow decay of a place the world forgot. But that quiet, measured atmosphere didn't hold for long, because this is where the experience took a genuinely unsettling turn. While making his way across the second floor, Chris came to a sudden halt, camera still running, his body completely motionless as he stood there and listened.
Do y'all hear that? Just walking. I hear footsteps.
This building had been sealed off from the world for over 2 decades, and Chris had every reason to believe he was the only living person inside. Yet the footsteps he was hearing suggested otherwise, and that was only the start of it. As he pushed toward the basement tunnel network, something else happened entirely. Pay close attention to what the camera picks up. A door along the hallway appears to swing on its own. Now plenty of people will jump straight to wind as the explanation, but look at the wire dangling from the ceiling nearby. It isn't moving even slightly. Any draft powerful enough to shift a door that heavy would have that wire swinging without question. Then, barely moments after the door incident, Chris picked up what sounded like keys rattling together and a faint voice somewhere in the distance.
What the fuck was that? Listen. Oh shit.
Pressing on, Chris dropped down into the tunnel system running beneath the hospital. These underground corridors were originally constructed to link the various wings of the facility, forming a concrete labyrinth that had been cut off from daylight for decades. Moving through them with nothing but a flashlight between him and total darkness, Chris began encountering something that stopped him cold.
This shit looks like it goes on for miles. These tunnels are creepy as fuck. Okay, I heard something. I definitely heard something that time.
What he could hear were footsteps, not the echo of his own stride bouncing off the walls, but separate, deliberate footsteps originating from somewhere ahead of him in the black. What unfolds next is the moment this stops being a creepy night out and crosses into something far harder to dismiss.
What the fuck is that? Yo, do you see that shit, y'all? What the fuck? Yo. What? Yo, what the fuck? That is crazy.
If you study the footage carefully, there appears to be a pale figure moving through the darkness in front of him.
What the fuck? Yo. What? Yo, what the fuck?
But when he pursues it, the situation takes a turn that defies easy explanation. He reaches a dead end. The tunnel simply stops. There is no exit, no branch, no way for anyone to have gone anywhere.
It's a dead end. Oh my. What? What the fuck? I'm out of here. I swear I legit saw somebody.
Yet Molly Stark's sanatorium still had one more thing in store for Chris. While attempting to navigate his way back out of the building, his high-capacity battery pack abruptly died on him. A unit rated to keep his lights running for 16 hours on a full charge, cutting out after barely 2 hours of use. Keep in mind, this is someone who has spent years inside abandoned buildings. He knows every piece of his gear intimately.
My f***ing light died. Nah, this is some bullshit. I'm using a f***ing cell phone light. Oh, my fucking... What the... How is it not working? What the fuck? How does that make sense? This shit was all the way charged.
What follows is several long minutes of Chris picking his way back toward the surface with nothing but his phone screen to guide him. He does eventually find his way into the main building and out to safety. But seriously, what do you make of what happened at Molly Stark? Was Chris dealing with genuine paranormal activity inside a building where hundreds of people drew their last breath over the decades? The footsteps, the self-moving door, the figure in the tunnel, the equipment failure. On their own, each one might have a rational answer. But when they stack up one after another across a single visit, The picture that emerges is something else entirely. This person had endured a long string of unsettling and mysterious experiences, repeatedly catching glimpses of a shadowy figure prowling around the outside of his home. Yet he could never be certain whether it was real, until he finally mounted a camera outdoors and captured this. Then, at 3 in the afternoon, something deeply chilling was recorded moving just beyond his front door. The camera picked up a dark, semi-transparent shape moving briskly past the frame. As it drifted toward the darker area of the shot, it seemed to dissolve entirely into the shadows. The eerie silhouette bore the unmistakable outline of a human form, yet it flickered in and out of visibility as it made its way to the left side of the frame. Daniel was left completely shaken after reviewing the footage, because what the camera recorded was the very same figure he had been spotting outside his home all along. A guy named Evan recently uploaded footage from his job that spread across the internet almost instantly. Evan pulls night shifts, and for months there have been whispers about the ghost of a young girl roaming the halls of the building after dark. He never put much stock in those stories. Until one night, after clocking out and heading home, he spotted something he couldn't quite make sense of. Something that stopped him cold.
Essa igreja aqui, ó. Tem alguma coisa batendo na porta aqui. Não tem nada ali dentro.
A door is being hammered repeatedly, as though whatever is on the other side is frantically trying to break free, yet nobody is there. Some people in the comments chalk it up to wind, but the motion doesn't match that theory at all. It's slamming and shaking with force like invisible hands are gripping it from within. Evan has no idea what to make of what he's witnessing.
Wait to look.
The very next day, Evan drops another clip. This one recorded from a camera inside the building itself. What it picks up looks like it was ripped straight from the pages of a horror script.
Manche. Dios te deprenda, no me grito. Manche, no hay nadie. Manche.
Once more, a door begins drifting back and forth on its own, with no one visibly anywhere near it. But according to those watching, it isn't even the door that gets under their skin the most. It's the deeply unsettling energy that seems to hang over the whole place like a fog. So did Evan manage to catch the restless spirit of that little girl on camera? Or is something else entirely hiding in the shadows? That's for you to decide. A woman by the name of Celsa Ann had been picking up on something deeply unsettling going on within her home. For several weeks, she reported hearing sounds she couldn't explain and witnessing objects shift on their own, yet nobody around her took it seriously. Then one afternoon, with only her dog for company, she decided to grab her camera and walk through each room looking for answers. Everything appeared normal at first, until it wasn't. See for yourself what unfolded next.
I've been trying to catch this on video for at least 2 weeks now. I have been seeing things move. Everybody thinks I'm nuts. I know what I saw. There's nobody here. My doggy. Okay. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! okay? Oh my god, I told you.
Right before her eyes, a drawer began sliding open with no one anywhere near it. No person, no obvious explanation, just slow, deliberate movement on its own. Celsa immediately lost her composure, stepping backward with the camera still rolling, insisting out loud that she wasn't losing her mind. Then, just moments after, the drawer moved a second time, and whatever doubt remained was gone. Keep your eyes on what happens here.
Oh my god! I'm not crazy.
Whatever presence had taken up residence in that house was clearly not human, and to this day, nobody has been able to explain what she encountered. A British TikTok creator known as Willow Haunter is someone we've actually featured on this channel before. Over the course of several months, Willow has been recording what he describes as intense poltergeist activity throughout his apartment, doors flying open by themselves, and objects being hurled across the room by some invisible force. But as his clips started picking up views, the internet responded exactly the way you'd expect. People called him out, insisting he had someone tucked behind the door yanking on a string. Tired of the constant doubt, Willow made it his mission to shut the critics down once and for all. He rigged up a carefully planned dual-camera setup to deliver what he's calling undeniable, ironclad evidence of a genuine haunting.
So this is a response to someone who commented here. Got Deborah Evans saying that, I think you're all thick, and someone just opened the door. So yeah, you are right, I do think you're thick, but not my audience, just you specifically, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this door. Look, close the door. And I'm going to go downstairs so you can see I'm nowhere near the door. Right, if there's anyone in this house right now, open that door. Right, and look, there's the camera recording me, so you can see, well, you can see with your own eyes, both sides of the door, so yeah.
When you lay this footage out side by side, it becomes extremely hard to dismiss. One feed is a fixed camera trained on the kitchen side of the door. The other is Willow's own handheld phone. He starts by pushing the door fully closed, then deliberately heads downstairs with his phone in hand, sweeping the camera around to show that the entire lower floor is vacant and nobody else is present. Standing at the bottom of the staircase, he speaks out into the quiet, challenging the spirit to open the door if it's truly sharing the space with him. Almost immediately, the stationary camera captures the door handle turning and the door drifting wide open on its own. Because both cameras are running at the same time, you can see with complete clarity that nobody is standing on either side of that door. And to rule out any editing tricks, Willow bolts back up the stairs right away, and you can watch his genuine reaction play out in perfect sync across both feeds as he reaches the open doorway. So, where do you land on this one? On August 14th, 2025, YouTuber Jasko and his best friend Chris headed deep into a secluded Adirondack forest in upstate New York, an area long associated with Bigfoot encounters and occult activity. Armed with nothing but a spirit box and their flashlights, the two pushed further into the woods. What started as an overnight adventure quickly turned sinister when they realized the dark reputation of this place was well earned.
Yeah, this is one of the crazier ones, that.
Johnson.
Oh, is that?
What?
Should we take him out?
No, Chris, what the hell? We just had dinner back at the van. As you can see, the van is right there. We're keeping the lights on. Here's the thing, guys. Something really strange is going on tonight. I don't know how I'm editing this video, but on several occasions tonight, there's been this one truck that has driven past us at our campsite on several different occasions, and it would slow down, almost kind of like it's looking for something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Johnson, is that your last name? Bro, this literally looks like a jungle. Look at that.
It's so grown in. Maybe we shouldn't go. Yeah?
Hello?
Johnson, are you down here?
Johnson's the last thing.
Maybe it's John's son.
Maybe.
Brenda.
Oh.
What did it say?
Brenda.
Brenda? Brenda Johnson?
Brenda Johnson?
Plenty of people write off spirit boxes as nothing more than a gimmick, refusing to entertain the idea of paranormal communication. But even the most die-hard skeptics would have a hard time explaining what unfolded.
This place tonight that we actually didn't know about until we got here. Let me just put it into perspective for you guys. This is a place where several deaths have happened, documented. There are some undocumented that have happened as well. Satanic rituals happen here to this day. Okay, let's just keep going.
Oh, behind us, bro.
Said bro, Brenda Johnson, here.
That's so sad.
Bro, look at this. Look straight ahead. Look how terrifying that looks. That genuinely looks horrifying.
Me.
Oh! Wait. Okay. Who's over there?
Organs.
Organs? What?
Huh?
Recording.
Organs?
As they moved toward the source of the sounds, something out of the ordinary caught their eye just a short distance from the main trail.
What is that?
Ew. Wait, bro, what is that? What am I looking at right now? Oh, thank God.
That's a duffel bag.
Okay, I thought
Chris,
that was...
that's a duffel bag in the forest.
Okay, I mean, it's not any better, but... Hello?
No, you don't get it, bro. The spirit box just said, Brenda Johnson, here, and we just found a duffel bag in the forest.
That's not a good thing.
Oh my God, there's a date. Hold on. Bro, January 26th, 2008.
Okay.
There's no shot.
Oh. Hello?
Look at it.
Yo,
yeah.
Go. Go.
Are we good?
Oh, stop. Chris.
12.
Should we get the shotgun?
Yeah, probably.
Get the shotgun.
Then came the sound of footsteps drawing closer. They had no idea what was out there, and they weren't about to stick around to find out. They turned and sprinted. Later, after going back armed and returning to the spot, they managed to recover the bag and bring it safely to their van. That's when they discovered this.
Oh no. Oh God, no, not this. No, bro.
Brenda 0129. Oh, is that the code maybe? Passcode?
Possibly.
Oh, what the hell is wrong with the screen?
Inside the bag were multiple disturbing items, including a phone bearing the name Brenda, and the evidence only continued to pile up, pointing toward either a missing person or something far more troubling.
Stop.
But right as they were ready to pack up and head back to the van, everything changed.
That's Forest Ranger, bro. That's a Forest Ranger truck.
Oh, shit.
What are they looking for? It has these things on the side. It's like that's the owners are looking for it. They must be looking for somebody.
Oh.
On everything, they're looking for somebody. They have to.
You think so?
Lights. Why would he be driving up and down like
Wait,
that?
bro.
A vehicle with a stripe along its side pulled up. Bad timing, to say the least. After being approached by an officer, they put the camera away but left the audio running, and what that recording picked up was deeply unsettling.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. We're camping. We're just hanging out.
Is everything all right?
Yeah, we had something up there, but it was nothing.
Anything for us to worry about?
No, it was just a bag and it had some animal remains in it. We just
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
That's crazy. No, it's all good. Normal. Thanks.
Take care.
Put some things in perspective for you guys. That was 2 sheriff vehicles.
2 of them.
After we just seen park rangers, so what they just said was they found a bag of animal remains in a forest where satanic rituals have been rumored to happen here with animal remains. Do you not understand how crazy?
That's literally like, everyone can question our stories all you want, but that's literally the proof that we needed to know. Pretty good.
Just out camping for the night?
Yeah, we're just out camping.
Alright. Yeah, I saw you guys up at the
Yeah. We're just different spot.
Is everything all right?
Yeah, so somebody found like a bag of like, they thought were organs.
Organs? Oh my god.
It turns out, I think it's like somebody had like a goat or a lamb or something and they got it and they dumped it.
Jeez. That's crazy. It's still weird though.
Yeah, weird shit on that.
Really weird. That's crazy.
To this day, Jasko and his friend have received no further information about the incident, leaving the whole ordeal wrapped in mystery. A video posted by an anonymous French social media user has recently grabbed the attention of the paranormal community. Details surrounding the footage are hard to come by, but it appears to have been captured inside a derelict prison somewhere in France. As far as I can tell, the person behind the camera was putting together an urban exploration video, but a trip down to the basement led to him accidentally documenting something absolutely terrifying.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un encore qui habite ici? Waouh, l'état de la cave. C'est quoi ça?
A towering figure can be spotted edging out from behind a wall, its eyes burning with an eerie white glow in the darkness. The cameraman goes completely still with fear as the figure stares back at him in silence. Then, with no warning whatsoever, it lunges straight toward him. The footage cuts out to the sound of his panicked screaming. Given that virtually nothing is known about where this clip came from, there's no way of knowing what unfolded once the camera stopped rolling. All we can do is hope that whoever was holding that camera made it out of that encounter alive. At around 3 in the afternoon, a woman by the name of Benita was by herself at home while her husband was out at work. She was sitting in the living room watching TV when, out of nowhere, a loud and terrifying sound came crashing through from the kitchen. Right at that very moment, the kitchen's security camera recorded something deeply unsettling, something she had absolutely no way of explaining. Without warning, the stove began violently shaking before it lifted off the ground and slammed back down. But just a few seconds earlier, a dark, semi-transparent shape had moved rapidly across the other side of the room. He maintains that even if the appliance had experienced some kind of mechanical failure, there's simply no way it could have moved like that by itself. That's why so many people are convinced that some kind of invisible, unseen force was behind the destruction, and that the strange, shadowy figure that appeared moments before may be directly connected to whatever caused it. So what's your take on this? A man decided to venture off the beaten path after dark, determined to catch something supernatural on camera. The further he pushed into the wilderness, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. Then, without any warning, he came face to face with this. A mysterious silhouette frozen motionless between the trees. It had a human shape, but something about it just didn't sit right. No motion, no noise, just a fixed, unblinking presence staring back at him. He didn't stick around. He turned heel and got out of there as quickly as he could. When he uploaded the footage afterward, it didn't take long to divide the internet. Some viewers are convinced it's a spirit. Others reckon it's nothing more than a forgotten piece of clothing left hanging on a branch. So what's your take?